What if you live miserably in a destitute society, but people around you seem to enjoy it? You are persistently confronted with wonder. Am I the only sane person? The only one who distinguishes the reality of life I'm living and the lies I'm sold? I have based this video on George Orwell's novel to 1984 and real-life examples. So if this interests you, bring something to drink, smash that like button, and let's start. What if all that you were told is a lie? The protagonist experiences physically this experience, for he was the one to bring unreal people to existence. If there is a protester, that one to take more than a shot in the back, and that person with all his memories and history will be abolished. Frantically, he vaporizes. The novel was based on the idea that whoever controls the present controls the past. Winston, the protagonist, is sick of all the manipulations being done to him. He writes his thoughts in a diary, and this very act could be considered a thought crime. He sees how his country is obsessed with controlling everything. When I say control, that doesn't stop only on the side of morally wrong actions. The country takes it further to control every single gesture, spoken word, and even thought of the citizens. The telescreens are spread throughout the country, recording everything that happens in their presence. The telescreens are never shut down, and people always have to keep this thought of being watched. The raised flag is war is peace, knowledge is slavery, ignorance is power. The story is full of contradictions, as Winston works in the Ministry of Truth, and his job is to fabricate lies. The country reports that it is always at war, and often declares the reduction of misery, though Winston knows what is beneath this news for. He is the one reporting them and profoundly knows that they are rubbish and falsifications. Winston represents human reason, which is no longer accepted in totalitarian regimes. The party wants all the citizens to admire Big Brother and accept any sort of news unquestionably. The news keeps insisting on the innovation of sustenance after the rebellion, and Winston can't recall vividly whether his childhood was as hard as the party claims. Everywhere Winston goes, he is confronted with motivation to be more loyal and obey Big Brother. George Orwell gave Winston the characteristics of a protester. The thing that the party is ambitious to achieve is killing the instinct of sex. There won't be any type of relationship based on love or sexual desire. The only acceptable marriage can be for one purpose, to make a loyal server for Big Brother. The neurologists of the party succeeded in killing the inner sexual desire, so all the interactions and marriages happen emotionlessly. All of Winston's experiences with sexual relationships were only moves without any pleasure or enjoyment. He was often pushed by his partner. When he met Julia, who was many years younger than him, she was the only person he had seen who was able to express her emotions, which wasn't something allowed and common. As soon as she revealed her love for him, he couldn't keep but think of her. She was extremely hot to him. He had been for a long time paranoid whether she had changed her opinion to love him or not. During these minutes, the author helps us see how deep sexual desire and love are rooted in human beings. Something shined inside of him, though that he is sure that this move will cost his life. Even the action of thinking of her was a crime according to the party, which was known as Thoughtcrime. Orwell was very precise when he introduced a shocking truth, where he related language to mentality and thinking. Imagine someone who was never introduced to the word freedom. How could he demand it or even think of it? Winston observed that the words are getting less and less gradually. If no one was born with the awareness of words such as slavery, dictatorship, and human rights, you might rarely find someone able to understand these concepts, and the solution to shut his mouth forever won't take more than a shot in the back, clearing his history, and the problem is solved. Winston gathered all of his bravery and headed to Julia. His conversation with her was quite peculiar, for he didn't know whether she was sane or a member of the thought police. His hesitation shows the degree of fear that he had been injected with throughout his life. No one could make the slightest move without thinking of the danger of being vaporized. Although Winston knew in his heart that it was the faith of everyone, it was just a matter of time. As Winston's life is already in danger for writing his protesting thoughts, this move is a passport to his grave. He started dating Julia, which wasn't something usual that he had lost the sense of pleasure in such an act. Gradually, he begins to savor their meetings more and more. Julia wasn't as cautious as Winston and still seemed to have some hope left. In contrast, Winston was so sure that taking the party down required more than two reckless lovers. As every story has an end, They were caught by the thought police, and here is where the novel takes a turn of hideous and brutal scenes. The only thing Winston possessed was his reason and his relationship with Julia. The torment started, and the more Winston was tortured, he became ready to leave his reason behind and believe in 2 + pseudo 5. From time to time, Winston thinks of Julia, and since his reason was abolished, all that he had left was his relationship with Julia. "I didn't betray Julia!" he screamed hopelessly, neglecting the fact that he had already confessed all that had been between them. Winston was left to recover, and there was only one step left, room 101. Winston had already asked what was in it that all people come out of it destroyed, and now was the proper time for the question to be answered. O'Brien confirmed, "You know what is in there, the worst thing on earth." O'Brien had already made the difference between their system and the previous dictatorships very clearly. The church has killed many people who are unrepentant, even on the stake. The novel puts the difference in the following. They didn't have the guts to recognize the real endeavor and often hid beneath religious thoughts. The only reason we are doing this is power and power on earth. Winston was so broken when hit with these utterly terrifying ideas. He did not believe in God, although he wanted to hope that there might be some power able to stop them. O'Brien opened his eyes. "You are the last of human beings, and look at yourself." His teeth were destroyed, his skinny waist and his ugly face. The second difference that made the party so powerful is that they do not torture for the sake of it. They shape ideas, take people to their limit, and only then make them realize the reality and take everything said by the party for granted. The last thing the party had to do was to vanish the bond between Winston and Julia. Room 101 contained his most powerful fear and made him capitulate. "Please don't do it to me. Do it to Julia. I don't care what you do to her, just not me." This is how the party succeeded in reshaping Winston's reason and collapsing every single feeling towards Julia. They met after, but the relationship could never return as it was. They have sold each other, and after, they aren't able to look at each other the same way they used to. Now both of them are free from torture, but can never be free from the truth that manifested itself to them. The party doesn't hold an interest in them anymore. However, what O'Brien said applied. You will never heal from what will happen to you, even if you lived 100 years. What life has a person to live when he is stripped of all of his principles? If you are still watching and entertaining, please consider the like button and comment. Your feedback helps me grow. Thank you for watching.